go.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the June 10th meeting of the Milton Select Board. Please, I'm calling us to order at 7:02. Please join me in rising if you're able to say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Milano, could you grab me the sheet for the
Public comment.
Yeah. So we're going to move into public comment. By rule, the Select Board allows 21 minutes total for public comment, with individual speakers asked to limit their remarks to 3 minutes. I will give you a verbal warning at 2 minutes and 30 seconds. We do have, I see one hand up online, but we've also got some folks that have arrived in person. I think we should be able to get to everybody. So why don't we start in person, and we're going to begin with Ms. Friedman-Hannah.
Good evening. I'm Karen Friedman-Hannah. I live at 3 Norway Road in Milton, and I'm a Precinct 2 town meeting member and one of the signers on the citizens petition that is going to be spoken about at town meeting. I am here tonight to ask the Select Board to strongly consider, having the UTIL company be able to discuss both the plan that the warrant committee has, the planning board, has put forth, the 10% non-compliant plan, but also the 25% plan that the citizens petition discusses. This was the plan that they came up with the planning board. It was paid for by taxpayer money. It was requested by the town, and we are just putting it forth onto town meeting to have a vote. But we strongly hope that Select Board will agree to have them discuss both plans, that it would be not providing the town meeting with necessary information if they can't hear both plans that had been created, especially since this was the charge that was put before them, was to come up with a 25% compliant plan. And as a personal request also, I have to ask everybody that you really strongly consider supporting the 25% compliant plan. There was just another lawsuit that got thrown out by the state, by various towns, making that it's not an unfunded mandate, and we feel very strongly that it's time for the town to be fiscally responsible and compliant with the law. And so I hope that you will consider supporting the 25% compliant plan. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Why don't we go online, Joan Fall, or their iPad. Joan, if you can unmute yourself.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Joan Fall. I live at 172 Granite Ave, and I'm a Precinct 7 town meeting member. And I'm calling in tonight to urge the Select Board to pursue mandatory judgment argument in court. A mere 16 months ago, on a blustery Valentine's Day, close to 9,500 Milton voters voted on Article 1, and 54% of those voters voted no. That's the most votes cast in any local election in Milton in the past 5 years, including more than this past April. I would ask you to put aside your personal views and, as Select Board members for the town of Milton, represent the no vote. Allow us to have closure on this issue. Let the judgment come from the court. I've heard people say that they think that the no voters do not support the no vote any longer. That could be true for some of the voters, but I would also challenge that some of the former yes voters would now vote no, as they've seen the 25% plan. Prior to the completion of the rapid transit compliant 25% plan, the voters were not aware of the impact that this plan would have on their neighborhoods and on the town as a whole. Personally, I have empathy for these voters and their neighborhoods. I agree the 25% zoning plan will dramatically change the fabric of the neighborhoods while attempting to meet regulations that I feel are unfair to Milton because of its incorrect classification. I'm not saying we shouldn't do our fair share, but I'm asking, why should Milton be doing more than its fair share in an attempt to solve a state and national-wide housing issue with a zoning plan that doesn't guarantee any affordable housing stock for Milton residents or employees? Please vote to seek a fair resolution via declaratory judgment. I believe that you will be respected for standing up with the voters that voted no when the final, no matter what the final
30 seconds.
judgment is. The residents of Milton will rest assured that their select board pursued every legal avenue available and stood up for the voters by using our democratic process to the fullest. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you very much. Back in the room, we have Mr. Zulus.
Good evening, Mike Zulis, 69 Fairbanks Road. Over the past several years, and particularly in these last months, we've seen from some of our national political leaders a disregard for the laws of this country and a disparagement of our country's courts and legal institutions. And that is why it is particularly important at this moment for the leaders of this community to show regard for the law and respect for the decisions of our courts. We, and you in particular, have an opportunity to do that in deciding how to proceed under the MBTA Communities Act. The MBTA Communities Act was a problem that we neither sought nor we created, but it was a problem that we needed to solve. Unfortunately, for nearly 2 years, we have failed to solve this problem at great cost to this community. Where we are now is not a surprise. It's not a mistake. 2 years ago, all of us, Select Board, Planning Board, town meeting members, were advised by Town Council and others about how this would end up, and here we are. Some chose to disregard the law instead of showing regard for it. Some chose to mislead instead of leading. While the failure to solve this problem has cost us financially, it has cost us even more in civic agitation and distraction. And so, at long last, now that the courts have said what we always knew they would, can we finally join together as a community and move on? This board can begin tonight with a unanimous vote to support Article 6, the citizens' petition to comply with the MBTA Communities Act. The only alternative to passing Article 6 is more financial cost to the town, a special master who will impose a zoning plan on the town, and court-imposed fines. State Senator Driscoll, who has joined in this discussion, should also show regard for the law that he voted to create and for the courts by publicly endorsing Article 6 without delay. A unanimous select board vote tonight endorsing Article 6 and Bill Driscoll's endorsement would go a long way towards uniting this town, solving the problem, and finally moving past this issue. So you have the opportunity tonight to stand up, to show regard for the law and for the courts, and to lead. Please take that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have Ms. Chaparro next.
Hi, everyone. My name is Camila Chaparro. I live at 19 Chilton Park. I'm here this evening at the invitation of Chair Zoll to speak a little bit about Connect Milton. I'm one of the 7 members of the steering committee of Connect Milton, which we founded in 2023. And our mission is to foster community connections centered around diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, and civic engagement. So we're an entirely volunteer-run effort, and our activities aim to build a more inclusive and engaged community by linking residents to each other, to local resources, and to civic opportunities. So just to give you an idea of what we've been up to since we were founded 2 years ago, we have a robust set of FAQs on our website that address a wide range of questions that a lot of new residents frequently have, everything from what precinct am I in and where do I vote, to questions about where do I walk my dog, or early education opportunities in the public schools. And we've also used that website as a hub for information for residents for local elections, including this past election where we included a comprehensive list of all townwide candidates in one location for residents to find that information more easily. We also send out a regular newsletter about community events and upcoming elections, and also events that we are organizing. And in terms of events that we have hosted and organized, we've, in the last year, organized 3 informational events around civic engagement, including Town Government 101, Town Finances 101, which featured Mr. Milano, and tomorrow night we're actually starting a new session on Town Committees 101. And these sessions we've held in person and invited the community to come to learn more about how Milton works and how they can get involved. And they've also been recorded by Milton Access TV, so are available after the fact for people who aren't able to join us. And finally, last but not least, we're really excited about the work that we're doing to welcome new residents to Milton. Starting in June 2024, we began delivering welcome bags twice a year. So these are bags that include information about the town. Most recently, we have included small items and coupons from local business sponsors. And we invite current Milton residents to help us deliver those bags as a way of current residents reaching out to new neighbors. And we also started a new to Milton social, where we invited all of the new residents to come and meet other current Milton residents. So far, we've welcomed just over 350 new households to Milton in the last year and a half, and we hope that that'll be just a start in starting residents on getting to know the community and getting engaged in the community. So thank you very much for the opportunity. We're really excited to be doing this work, and of course would appreciate your ideas for future events and activities. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming in. We don't have anybody else online, but we still have Mr. Christo here.
Hi, good evening, all. Is that a little too loud?
Maybe not that close to the mic.
Okay. A little better, maybe?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Thank you. Mark Christo, 17 Waldo Road. Nice to be here with you all tonight. I'd like to request that this board take 2 actions tonight. One is to move forward on the declaratory judgment prepared by Attorney Doherty, a most necessary action in definitively seeking clarity for our longstanding ambiguous classification. The assigned rapid transit classification is the heart of our argument. That argument is legitimate because it has teeth and staying power. Our classification alone remains unresolved and is what's driving the most consequential and questionable zoning demand for Milton. Milton is the only community with a classification whose basis is the Mattapan Trolley. We stand alone. Our town deserves closure. The classification must be addressed. Point 2, I ask that you please share HLC's zoning reduction list that I presented to you 2 weeks ago on the town website for the public to view. It is very important to provide information to town meeting members and resident voters of HLC's extensive zoning reductions that benefited 90 of the total 177 municipalities. That's more than half, of which 48 communities had reductions of 50% and greater. That is substantial relief. That's the relief that Milton is entitled to and should expect. By enumerating the facts that is, the operational inferiority of the small Mattapan trolley with no ability to transport passengers downtown, that Ashmont is the rapid transit, and the plans to convert the Mattapan trolley to rapid transit by the MBTA were never realized, are three solid points that confirm that the Mattapan trolley is not rapid transit. And the questionable basis is driving a punitive zoning demand tasked Milton. It is incorrect, and therefore it's unfair. I speak not just for myself, but for many. Remember, just last year, 54% of voters nixed a 25% plan. That too is substantial. The resolution of the ambiguous classification remains unresolved. This board has a real opportunity to address this weighty matter, capitalize on the talent and legal expertise being offered for free, from what I'm told, and couple that with the expertise and insight of one of your own with high-level work experience in
30
state
seconds.
government to effect beneficial outcome for those you represent. Yes, your neighbors are counting on you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Is anybody else in the room that is hoping to speak or online? Well, you can catch us at a second session if you missed it. So I'll go ahead and declare Citizen Speak closed. Our next item on the agenda is that we are going to move into executive session. So I'm going to make a motion that we enter executive session for a discussion regarding strategy with respect to with potential litigation regarding MGL C40A, Section 3A, the MBTA Communities Act, and 670 CMR 72.00, based on my belief that discussion of this matter in open session may have a detrimental effect on litigating position of the Select Board. The Select Board will return to open session.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Wells. Any discussion, or we can just move to a roll call vote? Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Ms. Hegarty? Aye. Mr. Cohane?
Aye.
Mr. Wells?
Yes, aye.
And I from myself as well. So we are going to be recessed into executive session. We will be coming back. I'm hoping that we'll come back in the next 30 minutes, so stay tuned. But I can't promise you a specific timeline. So, but thank you very much. We're in recess. Thank you for your patience, everyone. We are calling this back into our regular session. The board has not opted remedies at this time beyond what we've already done. I'm going to ask Mr. Cohen as this at the time. Okay, then Ms. Haggerty, you can join us again. Making a statement, she can just, yeah, she's just sitting here for it.
That she could be present for.
Budget update, and I know that Mr. Milano will be providing us with that update, and now that Ms. Haggerty is in the room, and
fiscal year end, the town's and school budget fiscal year ends on June 3rd. Deficit for fiscal 25 is now in the $1 million ballpark. If the board recalls, town meeting approved an Article 2 at the annual town meeting, $700,000 in anticipation of a need within the school department to use that funding to close off fiscal year 25. That was preparing that warrant in February-March timeframe. As they approach and get closer to year end, they have revised that $1 million be set aside in the reserve fund, as that met kind of where they felt it could as a free cash into the reserve fund. So with those two votes, assuming it's approved, there would be $1 million of free cash available between now and the year end. So if the select board would like to discuss this in more detail, and John and Katie Blake and I met yesterday for a couple of hours to go through some items ongoing related to this and others. So, we're working collaboratively. Requests. Separately, I'm happy to provide an update on the town side of fiscal 25 if the board is interested at this time.
Know that it's $1 million, or we still don't?
One thing I would add is that in terms of salary budgets, this payroll that's being paid out this week includes summer, but instead get paid this week. So that forecasting and calculation of where is the budget going to land on salaries and wages, I can't make a promise here today.
Mr. Wells?
So that's my issue. We have 20 days left, and if the million is, what do you want to do then? Because you've given them the 7, you have a town meeting on Monday to give them an additional 3. We've used
Sources. So with these appropriations into the reserve fund, we'll have about $1,265,000 in the reserve covered there. But I would agree.
Do we want to do any more school-specific questions before
Well,
we go to town, or do we want to address
I
both?
just think it's a good idea that we do too much of a roller coaster with this, and I think we have to continue a dialogue.
I would agree with that, too.
Just,
Mr. Wells?
just so you good? Is Amy has always said, negative. You're anything on the negative, you got to deal right away, and then we're in trouble. So that's my fear, is because you've gone down 90 days, so I know there's some capability there too.
Exceed our revenue forecast. Right now, we're looking at about a $2.2 million other revenue items conservatively, in order to overshoot that when it comes to actual revenues. We're on track to do that. Revenue is based on an account as of May 31st, so there is the month of May for collections to come. Forecast to exceed revenue by $2.2 million, and that doesn't include any additional property tax revenue and a few other items. That receipts forecast is less in fiscal 26 than it was in fiscal 25. Because of this year, we're on course to exceed that. So we continue to budget conservatively, turning to expenses. But as we've talked extensively this year, as we're budgeting premiums, that is the case for our current budget year forecast. We expect to end the year in a deficit. Employees are paying that 14% premium. Employees in the town are paying the 14% premium increase this month in June for pay this month. So right now we're very conservative, expecting to overspend that by. Part about forecasting that again is the lump sum payroll that I talked about that is being paid this week. So this is the week where we'll be able to really fine tune where health insurance will be, because all of those there's a little bit of a process involved to chew that up, which we'll be doing over the next couple of days, and then we'll report back. Unemployment historically is a little bit over budget. And then lastly, the other item that I've mentioned a couple times is snow and ice. We budget 160 year. It's in deficit by about $650,000, so that the Department of Public Works is able to cover that those expenses through other budget lines. We won't be able to do that this year. We anticipate needing to transfer. Overall, we expect today that the town departments will have turnbacks. So we have turnbacks in health insurance, for example, and other budget. Those are not going to materialize. So as we start to think about where is free cash going to be certified, we will not have significant turnbacks or significant savings in our departmental budgets because we're going to have to look to transfer money from, for example, from to DPW or from the select board budget. We've had a significant amount of transfers pulling money from one budget to another to solve some of these deficits that we're talking about. A positive result, again, in fiscal 25 on expenditures, but so it means really two things. So first, the Department of Revenue will withhold any amount in deficit from our free cash certificate. Okay, Milton, you have $2.5 million of free cash. Well, they're going to withhold that $500,000 that we're in deficit. In addition to that, to close that deficit. So it's kind of a double hit where they hold back free cash and they make the town accounts. So we expect, as things stand today, that won't be the case. But some trickier conversations as things stand today, and my expectation is that won't be the case.
And we'll have clarity on
in wages. It's pretty easy once we get through this payroll. Then it's about chasing down, making sure all the vendors get in their invoices. No invoices crop up that were unexpected, but for the most part, our forecast is pretty tight, barring kind of unforeseen or things that come up in the next 2 weeks that we don't. New expenses are on hold until you hear from me otherwise.
Okay. Other questions for Mr. Milano?
Spinning. I mean, I really do think we need a joint meeting, and for funds in a year where we're coming off of, how do we feel the next year is going to go, and what steps are being taken now?
We do have the Milton Budget Coordination Committee agenda item,
Yep.
and I think that might.
That's probably the approach.
I agree. Mr. Wells?
So a couple things. So the one thing that you just referred to on the town side is on the town side. So the only relief you could give to the schools, did I hear you say it's $265?
$1,265,000. So that is the most that we could take money out of the reserve fund to any town department, including the schools.
And
So
that would be punishing the departments who managed within their budgets and taking it from them. So that's the difference between the free cash and making it up. If I'm correct, and my memory serves me right, that would impact our.
It might not be a hit, but it might be a comment and a
Yeah,
concern
so
that they identify and
yeah.
will want to keep on, but it would not go unnoticed. For sure.
So it's just not in the overall budget picture. So I just, on the DPW's snow and ice, you think you can cover all that within the movements, and could be an exercise you could take if you had to.
That
So I
is-
can see what you're
yes,
saying. You don't want to do that.
That is one option. Could be that we maybe don't close all of that
Yeah,
deficit and anticipate for fiscal 26, or reductions in fiscal 26 appropriations to say we're going to take that free cash that I mentioned for other deficits. But any department can't end in deficit except for snow and ice.
Other questions? It's a fail-safe, I think. If somehow
last
we go,
fail-safe.
it's a fail-safe to the fail-safe of the existing 285, which is also a fail-safe to the
It's
million.
only
So
265. You're 20 over already.
at some point, we're going to run out of life jackets. But yeah,
And I think it would be nice to be able to close the books on 25 and
Agree.
acknowledge the issues that arose and what happened, address them, and then start 26 fresh, knowing there's not going to be similar deficits in 26. So rather than carry that forward to a fall town meeting to avoid that, just to be able to say, look, 25 happened, we've talked about it, we've addressed it, these are the changes we've made moving forward. It would be nice to close the books
You're
literally
saying
and
that
figuratively.
265 is definitely going to close the books here, or are we still thinking there's something that's pending?
You don't know. You just don't know. There's 20 days left.
Today,
He's
I feel
giving
pretty
us
good.
notice.
If the schools come in at $1 million, I feel pretty good on the town side.
Yeah.
So let's, we have a meeting before town meeting on next Monday. Could you plan to give us at that meeting just the update on how the books went this week with
Yep.
those lump sum payments?
Sure.
Because I think at that point, we should have either a flashing red light or green light or yellow, or
Yep.
whatever. Mr. Wells,
Can I amend your suggestion?
you can.
Why don't we meet with both committees that night before we can even go in? And we're both going to be in the same
Yeah.
building.
The school committee? Yeah, they're there.
Yeah, they meet too. They meet.
Yeah.
They meet.
The only, it would just be, it's not a normal meeting, it's not got the normal audience. We would be able to record it, but I would just note that it's, if the intention is a true joint meeting, it might be better to find a mutual date that works. That would be a traditional kind of
I
in-person
do
meeting.
think it would be better to have it with.
I just don't have a lot of days. That's why
Yeah,
I'm just
I
trying.
know,
I'm trying to like. You're out 7 nights a week before you know it, and it's just.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
not
just
that
realized
time.
we're both in the same building at the same time. This isn't a big issue. I think to Ms. Hagerty's point, to get them in the room and at least amongst us quickly to say, okay, it's 20. By then it'll be even less. It'll be 12 days or 30. You know.
I could see if the board's available at like 6, maybe we could meet in the school committee's traditional meeting room early at 6.
How about this? Can I amend your amendment?
Yeah, no, I didn't amend it. I was just, I'm thinking out loud. I mean,
No,
every day
I think
counts.
so my suggestion was going to be, why don't let's get the update still from Nick on the Monday. And I'm just going to take a wild guess that town meeting's not going to finish in one night, just a wild guess, assuming that we are back on
take that
Tuesday.
back. I'm gonna
You
take
know,
that back. Look at all that. I got 3 votes already. I didn't even make a motion.
Assuming that we're going to be back on the Tuesday, if we decide that we need to talk to the school committee based on what we've learned on that Monday, like it's an urgent thing, we could do it then. If we feel like, okay, we know where the books are going to, we know where things are going to fall, it would be better to have the bigger discussion at a later date when we could do it then.
And the other
Mr. Cohen.
reason for a longer time is, one of the questions I would have is, sitting in on the school finance committee meetings, I know that next year's budget was developed off of last year's budget, and now so that'd be a question I would have too, is how does that affect us moving forward?
Yes.
Not just last year.
Does that sound like a reasonable approach to everybody?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, let's go ahead and do that. Any other questions? All right, moving on to item number 7, we have a report from the Department of Public Works Director, Marina Fernandez.
Who's been waiting here so patiently.
Very patiently. Thank you very much. And just as a quick way of introducing this segment, I will say, we've
Segments,
had, or item on our agenda. We've had this idea of bringing in department heads to talk to the select board, kind of give us an overview of how the department's working. And I guess you drew the short or the long stick. I'm not sure which one it feels like, but this will be our first one of what will be many sessions like this. So thank you again for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody on the board. It's an honor to be here, and it's an honor to start the new segue. So I did make as an engineer, I did make a presentation for you all.
Is it
and
under an hour?
I promise that there aren't a lot of graphs. So if you don't mind, I should be able to share screen. Is that okay?
You should be able to.
All right, let's try this. Excellent. Seems like it's already
Loaded.
loaded and up there.
There we go.
All right, so thank you very much. This is just a short overview. I'll try to make it very short, and then I'll open up to answer some of the questions that the board may have. My name is Marina Fernandez. I'm the new Director of Public Works. Believe it or not, I've only been in this role for a little less than around 5 months. And
I thought you were going to give it to us in days. That
you
was
know,
the end.
I did put together a little org chart for those of you that are unfamiliar with what we do. I really think of the Public Works as having two different arms. We have the operations arms, which is where the assistant director and our 7 divisions lie within. We have vehicle maintenance, a water division, a wiring, a forestry, a highway, a support division, and a sewer division. And then the other arm is located at the town hall, at the second floor. That's where our town engineer, which is currently an open and vacant position, is located. We have our engineering offices where we also have a civil engineer, a couple of interns, an environmental coordinator, and a GIS specialist. So as you can see, currently we have 13 superior as well as administrative positions and 28 full-time labor positions. And of those, currently 5 are open, including the town engineer. Just briefly talking about the divisions, the forestry is where it plants, maintains shade trees, it works with the shade tree committee, and it also responds to emergency during storm events. The water division complies with federal and state drinking water laws. It maintains hydrants, our water main, or surface lines. It completes annual water main flushing program, which you may have seen signs for around town. We also do lead and copper testing, which is separate from the lead and copper inventory, which I'll speak in a second. It also installs meters and keep records and inspections. This is just a brief overview because they do a lot. Sewer division maintains 8 pumping stations and nearly 100 miles of sewers. It also,
I thought I did that, sorry.
no worries. It includes 3,000 manholes in response to emergency service calls. Our vehicle maintenance maintains approximately 200 vehicles and equipment for numerous departments. There's been a lot of conversation about that. Our wiring division maintains 3,300 street lights, as well as master boxes, traffic signals, and all the really nice decorative lightings you've seen around town. Our drain division, we clean, we dredge catch basins, we complete annual street sweepings, and our support division does everything else. They really are ninjas. They pick up trash, maintain islands, they right of ways, install and maintain street signs, etc. Oh, I can't not skip over that. I'll talk briefly about snow and ice, and that is our beautiful shed. So we're very appreciative. It's been working out great having a new location to store our salt, which was a game changer this past snow event because a lot of communities, which you may have heard, were running out of salt, and we were not. So thank goodness for that. Just to highlight a little bit of equipment and personnel, we have 8 6-wheel dump trucks with plows and sanders. Sanders is, I should not have used that word, it's salters. We do not use sand. 3 sidewalk tractors with snow blowers and plows. We also have an in-house CDL drivers program where we are really trying to ingrain the culture of promoting within and providing the training and educational programs that our staff needs to really move up the chain. We also just were the first in New England to pilot a plow op program. You can see it on this graph here on the side. It's a bit tough. Maybe we can't hit the light for you guys?
Well, that's for the at-home, I don't know.
The at-home folks, I think, can see it pretty good.
Okay,
and
all right.
Everybody else here, I think, knows what's happening.
It basically, we were able to figure out where our trucks were at all the time during our salting operation so that we were not missing a street during salt events. And we are also using de-icing agents. Like I said, we use salt as well as we're starting the organic liquid mix, which is something that is widely used. There's really a science behind snow and ice, and if you guys want to learn more, I'm more than happy to discuss.
I'm just going to pause you real quick, too, because CDL's commercial driver's license.
Oh, yes,
For those
I
at home that may not
apologize.
know what that
Yes,
is.
thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
I'm just so used to this that sometimes I
You
forget
obviously-
acronyms.
Obviously living and breathing.
The engineering, we do a lot with the very little staff that we have. We are planning and overseeing capital projects such as the water main replacement construction, which we were so blessed to have ARPA money available in the 2 years directly after COVID, which really got us to get a head start on our water main projects. We are currently going out to bid on a water service replacement and identification construction project that is also mandated by the EPA. And last year, we did $1.7 million worth of sewer lining and replacement construction. This is really innovative, less invasive, trying to do less of a dig and more of a proactive approach into our sewers. Again, I can go on for days about that. It's really interesting and innovative stuff, but also very widely used across the country in New England. We just completed our lead inventory program. We still have house-to-house ongoing, so folks that are watching, if you see a couple of our interns out there, we are trying to identify services from the home. That's not always available. Sometimes our unknown portion is on the street side, and getting to a home will not help us. But we have everything really mapped up, and we're going house to house every time we get into a home, and we're able to figure out that, hey, that's not a lead service, it's a copper. We noted it in the inventory, and it's one less dig that we have to do further down the line. Please, if you're watching this, do go to our website under the townofmilton.org. At that link under engineering, you can hit the I want to learn more. There is a lead service inventory. You can find out what your service current is, whether or not you have lead, whether or not you have an unknown lead service material, or if you are great and you have copper on both sides. We are also overseeing all of best management practices. That's what BMP stands for, which is for drain infrastructure and green infrastructure around town. And we oversee our MS4, which is a municipal permitting for watersheds. And we also oversee a pavement management program. We have approximately 100 miles of roadway in town. And that program scores each segment of the road. That is called the Road Surface Rating, RSR, for each of those street segments. And based on those ratings, we know what kind of, I feel like and I'll talk about it in a second, there is a toolbox for how we choose to maintain a road. And everything is based on a cost-effective analysis of that road. And it's also based on what the condition of that road is and whether or not that mechanism of prevention or reconstruction of that road is the most cost-effective for how that road stands. So everything stems from the pavement management program, which, by the way, we just got it. We have not requested, but best practices that we do it every 4 to 5 years, and we just completed that one now. So based on that roadway program, we figure out what roads we are going to do the selective types of treatments based on our toolbox for those treatments. Everything goes onto our website. I will link right now so you can see it live, how it looks, and I would urge our residents to always go to our website to see whether or not what kind of treatment they're gonna get on their roadways and if they're scored for that year. We do not post too many years ahead because a lot of things can change. Everything is based on the money we have available for pavement programs for that year, as well as what we have planning for our water main work too. So there are different drivers for what kind of road treatment everything's gonna get. So when you hit that link, you get to this website, which is, I'll have to stop share and share it again. This is the Town of Milton engineering. You go to your roadway reservation and construction, you can learn a bit more. This is our pavement management program. The summary of that report is listed right here. So right now, these are the roads that got a fog seal treatment. It also explains what a fog seal means and when everything's gonna be done. You can see that those roads were already completed. Updates on the schedule. We have microsurfacing coming up for these roads. And we have mill and overlay, which is your typical program that will be coming up for those roads. So everything is here, and then you have a summary map that is now showing every single location mapped for you. So with that being said, just finishing up we also have our solid waste. We did hire a new environmental coordinator. She started 3 months ago. She's doing awesome. We have a very excellent team. I just cannot say enough about all of our workers. Our operations folks, they're out there during the snow events. It's really tough. I don't think I realized how tough of a job that really is during snow events, during rain events. They're out there flushing at night. Also, when the water use is less, we have a really great civil engineer. His name is Sky. He's such a responsive guy, and an environmental coordinator. Just in the last 3 months, she has expanded our solid waste and recycling program. We're now accepting string lights, plastic films as of this last week, and we are also doing a pilot program for food scraps. Please go onto our Facebook account. It has a lot more of information. I don't have the time to go into the details, what really is plastic film, what we're trying to collect. We supported the Green Up in April. Many community members and just the community really came together in the cleanup across town. It was great. And then there is a picture of our certificate as a leader in sustainability for green mattresses. This all stems from the idea that really we have to be stewards of the environment, and there's not enough landfill space around. The cost also as a community is only going to go up. So we really need to be thinking outside the box here, how to, how to dispose of our solid waste and recycling and not contaminating, because the contamination, when you throw trash hidden inside a recycle bin, it does cost the town a lot more. So it goes back to what you're all trying to do just a second ago when we were talking about budget. And then while I have the platform, I couldn't go without reminding everyone, please submit your request if you're looking for a tree planting. We have around 30 trees left for this season, so please submit one. If you don't get into the list this season, if you don't grab one of the last 30 trees, we will plant another tree for you in the fall. Also, we just launched an Adopt an Island program. There's some businesses out there that are doing a great job already maintaining a tree, and we really made it more of a robust, where they have they have an application and it's all listed within the town, etc. Also, we have several ways for you to reach out to us if you have missed trash, yard waste. You can email, you can call, or you can use the Recycle Milton app. Please don't feel like if you already use that email, you might not hear back from us, but we are working with Star Waste. We have a dedicated employee now who's been providing us information, and we're providing those back to the residents. So we will reach out to residents that need our feedback. But if you don't hear from us, that means that everything is going to get picked up. With that being said, please let me know if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you. Is that the end of the presentation?
Yes.
All right. If you want to stop sharing, we'll go back to
Of course. Sorry.
To you.
back to you. So questions?
First, I didn't know there was a Recycle Milton app, so I just know that now. I have one question on the roads. So I take from what you said that the roads that have the most volume and traffic are the ones that we're going to take care of first. What's the process for getting to roads that may be getting to states of disrepair, but they may not have that much usage? So, where do they fall on the repair timeline or the checklist?
So if your road needs full reconstruction, which is the most costly type of reconstruction, and it's a less traveled, you're in the bottom of the list. That is the honest truth. And I would ask the board if I had a chance in the future to come back and go into the details on the, if you are interested, I can provide more information. We are aging, our roads in the town of Milton are aging faster than we are putting money towards. We have about $630,000 from the Chapter 90 program. In the last year or two, they have added another 300, so we're now getting around 900,000 through the Fair Share program. And we also appropriate $1 million. That $1 million appropriation has been appropriated over as long as I have been here, and I think it was appropriated even before I was here. And that includes doing all of our sidewalks, doing our roadways, and curbing. And when we do our roadways, it's not only the cost of the roadways, but we also, because we are accepting federal Chapter 90, state Chapter 90 money, we have to make that roadway compliant with ADA compliance. So the sidewalks also have to be done, and they have to be passable. And all of our wheelchairs have to be done, and they have to be passable. So, and the cost of, as you know, what you used as a budget for construction if you were to renew your house 5 years ago, you can probably only get half of it done this year. So we have been very diligent about using all these other tools and really trying to reach the roads that we can do preservation maintenance. But I agree with you, and we know that the roads that are less traveled and need full reconstruction at this point are on the bottom of the line.
What would it take to change that?
Next question.
More money?
Go ahead. Simple answer.
Well, might as well have it out
Fair
there.
number.
What's the standard of repair,
Yeah.
right? Because, the longer it does take, the worse those roads are going to
Yeah.
get.
So I would, if you are interested, I will share with Nick, that summary talks about where we are going to be in 5 years. You will see that road value, and our consultants have looked at if we were to add more money, how we could age less. I think that there is an industry factor. I believe that we would like to be going forward a couple of points every year. Right now, we're declining a couple of points every year on the total roadway, scores. I and the DPW more than anyone would like our roads to have less potholes.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
If I could just add a couple of other, and then Marina alluded to a couple of these points, but other factors would be, are we going to replace that water main on that street? So maybe a street would move up the list because its water main has had a number of leaks, and we want to address that. Is National Grid going to come in and rip up the road to replace the gas main? And some streets are on the list to share pavement because Grid was going to come in and pave half the street. Well, maybe we'll take a payment from National Grid and use that money elsewhere, and we'll pay to do the whole street rather than just only have half the street repaired. So there are other factors that might grab a road that we weren't planning to do necessarily with our own money. So that's in terms of her reference to the tools we have in terms of what we're going to do to a road, but there's also tools we have in terms of what other factors might contribute to a road creeping up a list that might not otherwise.
And if I may add, because you brought up a good point, there's also the age of the infrastructure underneath it. There's no point of me just reconstructing a road because without looking at the infrastructure underneath it. If I have a 1912 water main underneath it, guess what's going to happen to it 3 months after the road is beautiful, right? Because you are compacting that road, you're bringing in trucks. So that it's also a limiting factor is then we also have to invest in the water infrastructure, which is also very costly, right? In order to keep up just the roadway. If we were just to blindly do all roads just to bring that score up, there's also, we need to start looking at the infrastructure. And the ideal way of doing it, which by far we are unable to do it ideally, just not us, but generally, we would need to do all of our infrastructure underneath it. The town of Milton DPW, we do CCTV and we investigate the structure of all of our stormwater drains and sewers before we reconstruct a road to make sure that if there is a point repair within our sewers and our drains. And we also look at the age of the water infrastructure. And we also reach out to National Grid, to your point, Nick, to make sure that they are in before. That's why, so for example, I'll give Windsor Road as an example. Their road's been dug up for a while. It's because we coordinated with National Grid. They came in at their schedule. They did that work. Then we CCTV. We did the investigations on the drain. We did the investigations on the sewer. We replaced the water main, and now they're going to get it paved. That's really the right way of doing it in order to try not to have those infrastructures repaired. They might still happen, trust me. But the likelihood and the risk is less. It's a better way of investing our money as well.
Other questions?
You do, but I'll wait till everybody else is done.
I just want to thank you. I obviously can talk about this all day, and I do.
That's why I was waiting. I was giving you half an hour.
I just had two quick questions. So I see 100 miles of roadway. Do we have any structures that we own that you have to maintain? You know, do we have culverts or anything like that, or any bridges, or is it just roadway? And then my other question is, I was looking at the org chart and I was just wondering, like, where does traffic signal timing live?
Sure, in the
Is it in the
wiring
That's what I
department,
thought,
we
but-
have a dedicated
Yeah.
person who does that. So if any timing is off, that we do receive calls every now and then about asking us to look at a timing of an intersection, and he goes out and he takes a look. You might have seen him around. It's Jack and Kevin, our two staff. They're out around on bucket trucks going up and looking at intersection timing. We do own a dam and we own several culverts, not as many as you probably would imagine.
And
But we maintain
and a
those.
water tank. You own a water tank as well up in the Blue Hills.
Right, and the pump stations and the
Interesting.
water tanks and all the catch basins and
Okay.
the 3,000 manholes
Yeah.
and the list goes on and on. But in terms of, other than the roadway and the water and the sewer and the drain, it would be the dam and the culverts.
No small bridges?
No.
Okay.
Those are Mass
That's great.
DOT, yeah,
Well, sometimes municipalities own the under 20 feet,
right.
but that's good that we don't have.
You would know.
They're expensive.
I believe that. Mr. Cohen?
Well, the only thing I would like to say too is thank you, because typically when people call Public Works, they're typically calling with a complaint, so I know you don't get a lot of, gee, you're doing a great job, so I'd just like to say, gee, you're doing a great job.
Thank you. We do have a little kudos wall, so when we do have the, yay, you're doing a good job, we put it up and everybody gets
Oh,
so
good.
happy, so, just so you know.
That's great for people to hear at
Yeah.
home,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
acknowledge the good work. Mr. Wells, you had some questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of questions. Thank you, Marina. As you know, the DPW, I'm very fond. You have a great crew.
Thank you.
Even going back to my many years in the police department, my 10 years as chief, like in any crisis that we had, whether it was snow, rain, wind, trees, whatever it was, a large event, you couldn't do it without the help of your crews, and they're very good about that. Couple of things. The trees. I know Ricky Magno does a real good job, and I'm saying this for the residents around town. If you have a new tree and you see those green bags, go help them out, water them. You know, especially when we get in, when we're not, it hasn't hit here yet, but it will. Summer is coming. I don't know what day it's coming, but if you can help, this is taking a lot of work to get to the point where the town is planting trees on a regular basis, and to the residents who get them, help with them, because they really need a lot of water. So it doesn't help just go dump a 5-gallon bucket of water in those green bags. And Ricky and your crew, they do a real good job, but that's another one. Second thing, and this isn't so much food, and this is more from Mr. Milano. A lot of people ask about recycling at the parks, and I don't know how we're ever going to get to that, but it's something we need to start to look at instead of just trash, just regular
Having
trash.
recycling,
Disseminate. Next, we are on the trash sticker program. Just to highlight everyone at home, where can we get trash stickers? Are they available where in town now? Who sells them? Other than the town hall, the treasurer's office?
The treasurer's
right?
office,
Fruit Center.
the 7-Eleven, and the fruit center.
Okay. Both 7-Elevens, Houston Ave and 28, do we know if that's?
I believe they both do, yeah.
Okay.
I think Sunny has some too at the Central Liquors.
Well, that's good. So that's,
Yeah.
so.
Milton Food Mart.
Milton Food Mart too, that's right.
Oh, Milton Food Mart, see, there we go. See, I knew to ask important questions today that a lot of people don't know about that are part of your, the last thing, so, because I am chair of capital, and Amy, who is the brains of our operation, is here tonight. I know you do get Chapter 70 money, but the $1 million that budgeted on our capital every year for, I've been on capital 9 years, and I don't think it's changed since I got there, and not $1 million, to Mr. Daly's point, doesn't go as far today as it did. And we did, to Amy's credit, bring this up, so I would ask when we get to the capital budgets in the fall, when we start for this year, I think it probably behoove us to have you come in and start to have discussions to how we find a way to get that to it. Because I remember a time when that was zero, when there was no money really. It was just whatever you got for Chapter 70 was your money, and that's all that you did for repaving for years. So I know that's a big aspect, and to Mr. Daly's point, his question has been asked by so many residents so many times. I know why you're asking it. So that is something I think we want to have you come in and address.
I'd be happy to, and
Okay.
timing's perfect, because this is a very fresh report we just came from a consultant.
And thank you again. Thank you to everyone.
Thank
Great.
As a preview, they're recommended 1.5 million, so we can start to germinate on that for now.
So I do have a couple of quick
Thank
questions.
you. Thanks, Roy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wells. So Director Fernandez, thank you so much for coming in. Again, I want to echo what everyone else has said. Incredible work. I particularly love the effort at transparency in terms of making things available on the website. I think that's great. Maybe we can have a discussion about, do we want to have like rotating links or things on our homepage that might that might be of interest to folks, like when the new road study drops, maybe we can highlight that on the front page for a week or something like that. That's more of a Mr. Milano question. So these are probably pretty quick yes and no questions, but when we talk about the 100 miles of roads in Milton, does that include like 138 or any of the state roads?
No state and no DCR roads. We also have DCR roads, and it's center mile.
Okay. So I just wanted to make sure that folks were aware of that. If they're on a state road, it's a different process.
That is correct.
The food scraps program, I'm excited to hear about this. So this would be to drop off at the DPW if you had. So some folks, I compost and subscribe to the Black Earth compost. I don't have a fiscal interest in it. I just think it's very nice. But this would basically be a town compost.
That is correct. We actually are we subscribe for a pickup for folks that do. I believe that I just got a subscription for Black Earth composting because I wanted to live through it as well. And I think it's at $3. Don't quote me. I think it's around $3 a week for that little green. Folks may seen it from your neighbor. You get a pickup, a little bin that a third day. Everyone in the town gets a discount. You pay for the bin, and then you go to the town DPW. Open 24/7. There is a little dumpster for now. And then folks are going to be able to get in and access. We're also looking at everyone so that just the regular passerby doesn't just throw trash unbeknownst to them, although the cover is going to be food scraps from just a different option for folks.
Absolutely.
And I would say that you separate your food scraps and you leave that in your sink, put it in a bag.
Or no?
It is. The Milton Time is actually doing a whole piece on it of composting for our municipality. So we're really trying to look at both the
Not for putting into your recycling bin, that's for bringing to DPW, is that right?
Are already accepting that, but if you like me, I'm not making runs to the Stop and Shop. I go to another service provider. Just monthly recycle. You can bring your. It's on the. I think it is for the recycling pickup program. As
Okay.
well as the
So like, so there was a slide on it, but yeah, like grocery bags
Oh, okay,
or
okay,
that sort of,
okay.
there was.
Cassandra had a she has a little thing that says if it wraps, I can't, it's a jingle. Next
And
meeting, I'll do the
Finally, I would
jingle.
be remiss if I didn't ask this on behalf of a lot of the children in Milton. Is there an effort to name the snowplows out of naming
we
the
should.
plows?
We should.
Someone's plagiarizing, huh, Ms. Haggerty?
Hey,
Someone's plagiarizing tonight.
Imitation is the best, the highest form of flattery.
So again, thank you so much for
Thank you
taking
so
the
much.
time this evening to be here, and thank you for all the work. Please thank your staff for us too, and we will endeavor to make sure that we get some more props on the prop.
So I really appreciate it. It's definitely a mutual relationship. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we can move on to item 8, and I think we're going to start to hit some quicker
Yes,
items.
let's go. I just looked at the clock. I'm like, what?
Special town meeting, Mr. Milano, is there anything for us to do here?
No updates, just in terms of where the warrant committee recommendations stand. They did finish their work. The warrant committee recommends that the town adopt or approve Articles 1 through 5. Their recommendation is a no on Article 6, but I just wanted to report their recommendations. They've wrapped that work since the select board last met. And all of
with thanks
those
to the warrant
recommendations,
committee.
we're getting them onto the town website, so they should be there by the end of this week.
And always thanks to the warrant committee for all of their work. Do we want to, does anybody want to do anything about the articles, or are we okay for now? Wait till Monday?
Do it Monday? I'm all right.
Yeah.
Let's go. You want to go?
Unless someone wants to. So then, moving on, number 9, we have the discussion approval of town council.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry. Could
Sorry.
I go back to town meeting?
Of course.
It came up at public comment, but it also came up at our joint meeting with the planning board. Was the question of util and presence at town meeting. So just as of right now, I know their staff is available, but hasn't been requested to attend by us or the planning board. So we don't have a meeting between now and then, so whether util
That's a great
will be
point.
asked to attend or not, I just wanted to clarify that with this board if there's
No,
any
I think
interest in that.
that's a good point. Thoughts about that?
I would like for them to be there.
Fine with that.
Yeah, I think it's information that will be helpful, so.
Okay.
How do we- Sorry.
No,
The
please.
only question how do they present? Like, do they present for the 10% and then present again for the 25%, or? how
Well, I
would it-
think it sounds from this board that you'd be open to letting them make a presentation about both in terms of explaining what the zoning would mean, what the the lines are, what the results could be.
I think that would be
for
fair to
both. And I'll check with the planning board if they plan to just do a presentation on their proposal as well. And in lieu of UTIL, I think we would defer to the planning board on that article.
Sure, but I'd like the planning board to know that if they'd like UTIL to be present to also back up anything on the 10% plan,
Sure.
that they would be there.
Okay.
But if, I would defer to them if they would say they would rather do it than have UTIL do it, but
Okay.
still to ask UTIL to be present in case there are questions. So am I-
Okay. All right. I will coordinate that.
Do we need a
for
motion
next
on
week.
that, or?
I think you can just have
Yeah.
Mr. Malone coordinate that.
Yep.
Okay,
I can
great.
take care of that.
Okay, so back to item number 9. That's anything else? That was a really good and important flag.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 9, town council interview date.
I sent out a poll to members. I didn't get any responses, so I can.
I did
we
your
can-
I did your I did your review. I didn't do the poll.
So we can include these for next Monday's meeting, and I will resend the link.
Okay.
And I grabbed 15 blocks of time, so in theory, we might be able to find a date for both town council interviews and a select board retreat, depending on responses. I went out to like mid-July, so I can
Okay.
always add more if dates aren't working.
So I, including myself in this instruction, ask all of our select board members to please fill out your Google Doodle poll or whatever it happens to be.
First time I used it, so
All
we'll
right.
see if it works.
I don't think I could, I couldn't get into it now that you say that.
It's a link, so let me know if you have any issues.
Okay.
That was my fear.
Can I guess on the next one?
Yes, you can guess. So we have the next item is school building committee appointment. Do you have-
No, the next
Oh,
one
I'm
is
sorry.
discussion
Oh,
of select
the
board
select board
retreat.
retreat date. So
Oh,
I guess
wrapping
that's
those
the
together,
same.
right?
That's the same issue. So I was skipping
That's
ahead.
what I'm.
Yes.
We gotta
Yes. You're
fill
right.
that one out too, do we?
That's on that as well, and ideally,
Sorry.
no, that's totally fine. Both of those are, I think, lengthy, but we can probably also make up for that by not having, maybe a meeting, maybe just one meeting in August, or maybe one meeting in July and one meeting in August, something like that. So
That's what we usually do, I think, one
yeah.
each month.
it may go a little longer, but it would just be the one. So let's think about that. So then, sorry, you're right, Mr. Cohen, that was item 10. Item 11 is the school building committee appointment. So this is, I understand, Mr. Milano, that per the MSBA rules, we have to appoint one of our members here.
Correct.
Do we have any volunteers or nominations?
I would nominate Member Haggerty, if she would accept.
Would you accept?
I'll accept.
All right.
You sure?
You don't look happy about it.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm just- I look across the table. You look concerned.
No, I'm just,
Okay.
I'm like,
You don't have to.
So do we need a second on that nomination?
no,
think-
so I
Well,
just,
to
Oh,
discuss,
so anybody
yeah.
else?
you're
Yeah.
coming, you're gonna come off?
Yes.
You
Yeah.
sure you, okay.
Mr. Cohen.
That's all, I just
Oh,
wanted
Correct
to
me
you
if I'm
were
wrong,
you
but-
were wondering.
That's what I'm looking, I'm
Sure,
like,
yeah.
Balance
Okay.
the world.
Yes, yes. So
okay.
Mr.
I'll
Cohen
make that
had
second, so I'll
requested.
second that.
Okay,
All right, I'll
great.
second that. I didn't know that, so
Any
all right.
further discussion?
No.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? It is unanimous. Congratulations on another meeting.
God bless.
So then we
I had to pick up my third
have,
committee. I only had 2.
there you go. So now we have discussion, update, approval, select board, school committee, warrant committee, budget review committee, charge, and membership. So this is the charge that Mr. Milano has passed out to us here on paper for the Milton Budget Coordination Committee. Mr. Milano, do you want to begin?
Sure. So I included this in the board's packet. Broadly, the charge is kind of 3 main task items. Meet monthly to review the current fiscal year budget to actual, discuss the revenue and expenditure outlook for the upcoming fiscal year as the town moves through its budget development process, and then thirdly, to review and discuss the long-range financial plan and financial forecast. The committee is meant to serve to coordinate communication, communicate communication and coordination and information sharing throughout the budget review process, while not overstepping in terms of roles that are already identified, whether it's the town administrator's authorities, the school committee's authorities to control its budget, and ultimately the warrant committee's role in preparing and making a recommendation on the budget to town meeting. In terms of membership, we had talked already about 2 members of the select board, 2 members of the school committee, 2 members of the warrant committee. At our last meeting, Ms. Haggerty mentioned potentially a member of the planning board, so I have included that as part of the conversation. You know, myself and Amy, John Phelan, and Katie Blake's positions are all anticipated to, you know, participate as needed, attend meetings as needed. So that's broadly the charge. The title I came up with, and I'm not a good spin doctor here, but Milton Budget Coordination Committee was the current working title. Open to suggestions on that as well, or tweaks and revisions to the charge. I thought this was a good place to get the conversation started. And I will note, I sent it out to warrant committee, school committee representatives, and Meredith Hall, the chair of the planning board, late last week, just to get that in front of them in case there were any further feedback elsewhere.
Mr. Wells.
So going back to while I was still chair, I thought we had talked about the school committee and us each designating a non-voting resident to sit on this committee.
I think that that had been discussed. I don't know that we had agreed to it because I think we're still agreeing what this looks like, but I think that's a suggestion that
I'm
we could
still a
make.
proponent of that. I know
I
there's
am
one-
also.
I'm a proponent of that. If
As a
we can do it.
non-voting
As a
member as
non-voting,
well.
yeah. 'Cause-
Yeah.
So, and the reason I said no, because all the otherwise you give a citizen a vote on a budget that all these others have. Everyone else has a voting role in there. So I think, especially in light of the past year, to me, any expertise we can get to help with this right now is important. So I know there is one resident, at least two, and I don't know if anybody else has anyone, but I know that there's
I
one.
probably have the same resident in mind, Mr.
So,
Walker.
Mr. Walker, yeah. So I'd be, and I don't know if we have to make it tonight, but I'd be inclined to appoint a non-voting resident to represent us, and then let the schools pick whoever they want to do the same.
I think that's a good change we could make to the membership.
Cohen.
Mr. Cohen?
The other comment I had is this language shall meet monthly to review the current fiscal year budget to actual analysis. Is that good enough to make it like monthly? You know what I mean? Sounds like current fiscal year instead of monthly, looking at the actuals. I'm getting towards what's going on right now and trying to get ahead of that a little bit. I don't know, I'm just saying.
That is the intention.
That's
If the
the intention.
language needs to be changed anyway, I'm open to suggestions. But that, your phrasing is the intention we're looking for. I thought that captured it, but I'm happy to tweak the language if helpful.
Or if the mission, like, to me, like, we don't micromanage committees, like, to me, if they have to meet twice a month, like, they gotta, like, just,
Yeah, you could
Yes.
say something like at least
yeah.
once a month or something like that. So then it's, you know, if they decide they need to meet more than once a month.
or if things are really going good, they
they're-
don't have to meet in a month, like,
That would
just.
be, yeah, that's true.
I think also part of the mission here is to bring all these folks to the table so that they have awareness of how their actions, their piece of the enterprise fits in among puzzle pieces, how it all fits together, how it all operates together. I don't think we necessarily need to go through month by month and sort of scour and say, where are these receipts, et cetera. But we have these tools like a long-range financial plan. We've got other strategic plans and things in the environment, not to make it too high level, but we can have monthly conversations to understand where we need to go, and you know what are the current issues, how are these issues informing all of our actions. And I think we'll probably tweak it as we go, right? Maybe we'll have different suggestions for different types of financial reporting that might be beneficial to everyone.
Mr. Wells, did you have?
Are we doing this tonight?
Well, I think we can ask for amendments to it and maybe just approve new language once
Next
we've
week.
gotten.
So
next
if
week.
I heard it correctly, so it would be 2 additional residents, 1 appointed by the select board, 1 appointed by the school committee as non-voting members.
Yes.
Is that what I heard?
I think, yeah, is everybody
sounds
okay with
great.
that?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Daly, did you have?
No, I think we discussed some of this in the finance committee meeting, and our charges here. I think the most important thing that we talked about in our meeting was that this is a answer to residents who wanted the boards to work, you know, clearly together and visibly, especially coming off the override and sort of getting our fiscal house in order. So I think it's incredibly important.
So let me, I don't want to throw a monkey wrench into the works here, but I am cognizant of the problem of when you create a committee, it exists in perpetuity unless you
Put a sunset?
yeah. And so I wonder and I'm throwing this out to the board, and you know, I would appreciate everybody's thoughts about it. But I wonder if we think about having this committee come together for a year to do this work, and then part of the charge is at the end of the year to make recommendations to each of the participating select board, school committee, warrant committee, planning board on best practices for sharing. And then we could leave it open to if after a year they come back and they say, oh, you guys are really in trouble, like we need to keep working on this, then we can agree to sort of keep it going for another year. But if they come back with recommendations that we find compelling,
Positive, right.
and then we can, and that also prevents us, you know, from if you know, Mr. Walker, for example, he doesn't sign up for what ends up being like a 5-year term. You know, it could just be a year term, and then, you know, coming towards the end of the fiscal year, next fiscal year, we could review it. How do folks feel about that?
What you mean is decide if the committee wants to continue on.
Correct.
I agree. I agree. There needs to be something to make sure.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and as part of the charge, I think coming up with a recommendation that they give us at the end of the year, and or you know that they should probably be giving recommendations to each of the boards that are participating.
Okay. I'll work in language to that effect for consideration and redraft it, and we'll include it on next week's agenda before the meeting. And
Okay.
I'll redistribute it as well in the draft to the relevant groups involved.
Yeah, and I spoke a couple of times with Mr. Walker, and I think anyone who volunteers for a committee like this and is energized by it, particularly understanding that it would be a non-voting role, his time on the warrant committee and other parts of town, I think, are compelling that he would have some good, unique insights on the process and add some value. But we can probably vote on that also on Monday, and then if that makes sense. And then we can notify the school committee, and they may have some ideas about who they might want to appoint.
I know that former Chair Carroll and Mark Owen were aware of it, because we talked when we were going through the whole, before you guys got here, on how we're going to address, as you know, going forward, so.
Yeah. I think this is a great step forward for the town, though, and I think the end goal here is really positive. So thank you, Mr. Milano, for coming up with this. So we'll vote on the final version on Monday. Sure. All righty. And if anybody has any great ideas for a title, I should say, too. I think MBCC is pretty good, but, you know, I'm always up for fun acronym.
Conservation Commission, that's what they call themselves. Testified at a hearing, it was the other day.
Next item we have, if we're done on this one, is the shared Randolph-Milton Energy Manager Memorandum of Agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So similar to the agreement between Milton and Randolph for the Veterans District, we have a MOA in the packet for to outline the agreement for the new energy manager position to be funded by a grant from National Grid and Eversource. So it's a 3-year grant, $85,000 per year. It identifies that 60% would be Randolph and 40% would be Milton if there are any expenses that exceed that budgeted amount from the grant. We anticipate that the position would fit within the grant amount. It would also serve as the basis as we approach the end of that grant, and there's a discussion about whether Milton is going to keep its position or not. We would know that, you know, we would own 40% of that cost moving forward. And then broadly, it's similar again to the Veterans District, where they're a Randolph employee primarily. They'll maintain an office in both Milton and Randolph, unless we choose that they don't need to come to have an office in Milton necessarily. Serve to each town 3 days in Randolph, 2 days in Milton. But otherwise, it tracks with the same kind of agreement as we have now regionalized 2 positions with Randolph, and obviously we'll continue to look at any other options that make sense for the town. And I would be seeking approval of the MOA for my signature.
You want the MOA, or you, so I'll
Well,
move to.
you can make a preliminary motion. We'll leave room to discuss if we have any.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the memorandum of agreement for the shared Randolph-Milton Energy Management.
Second?
I'll second.
Mr. Cohen, second. Any discussion or questions for Mr. Milano?
And, how many hours is this?
It's a full-time
Full-time,
position.
yeah, that's all.
And I'll just add, there's no obligation of the town, or Randolph for that matter, to keep the position. It could be a 3-year and we get a bunch of projects done and say thank you, and we don't need it anymore. We want to keep it, so there's no requirement that we keep the position beyond the 3-year timeframe.
I'd just like to make sure that we don't end up with Mondays and Fridays for this person. They do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because,
The
for
veterans
some obvious
officer
reasons.
is Tuesday, Thursday.
Yeah,
So.
so I think that would be a good model. And then if we have space for them, great. Any other discussion? Nope. All right, we have a motion on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that's unanimous. All right, we have some board reappointments here. Do we want to get some motions on these, or do we want to
Someone
have
make
some?
a motion to reappoint Mary Sennett to the Board of Registrars for a 3-year term.
A second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Daly. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. We have.
I'm going to move
Go ahead.
to appoint Kim Johnson. Am I doing the right one? No.
No,
Climate
I'll
Action.
make the first one. Move to reappoint the following individuals to the Climate Action Committee for a 1-year term. Ron Israel, Matt Panucci, Dr. Stephen Popkin, Kyle Johnson, and Alex Hayshaw.
We have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Daly. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
I move to appoint Kim Johnson to the Climate Action Planning Committee for a 1-year term.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Daly. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
You are on a roll, Mr. Wells.
Move to appoint Fiona Javon as an
Reappoint.
reappoint, I'm sorry, as, I'm reading from the top, as an associate member to the Climate Action Planning Committee for a 1-year term.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Daly. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Move to appoint the following individuals to the Community Preservation Committee for a 3-year term. Jenny Russell and Kathleen O'Donnell.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Daly. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Move to reappoint the following individuals to the Conservation Commission for a 3-year term. John Cannon and Hans von Lingen.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Daly. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Move to reappoint the following individuals to the Municipal Broadband Committee for a 1-year term. Joseph Chamberlain, Mark Day, and Robert Lynch.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Daly. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The next motion is to appoint Michael Zulis to the Municipal Broadband Committee for a 1-year term.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Daly. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm going to abstain.
Okay. So one abstention.
Uh,
And then we're on to liquor licenses.
Move to approve a 1-day liquor license to Cypress Catering located at 550 Adams Street, Milton, for Saturday, June 14, 2025, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. for the Milton Garden Tour at the Forbes House Museum, 215 Adams Street, Milton, Mass.
Do I have a second on that?
I will second.
Seconded by Mr. Daly. Any discussion? Liquor licenses do not come with weather guarantees,
No,
unfortunately.
and this one doesn't, this one, although the afternoon, they said it's going to be good, so you get
Hopefully it
half a
will
day.
clear up for them. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Move to approve this is, I'm going to move to approve the meeting
Did
minutes
we
for
have
April 8th.
another liquor license, or was this the only one?
That was the one we added.
This is the one we
Only
added, okay.
one. Move to approve the meeting minutes for April 8th, 2025.
I will second. I think Ms. Haggerty and Mr. Daly can.
Right, they can abstain.
So
So you'll second?
I'll
Okay, so I
second.
made a motion.
Yep, all in favor?
Aye,
Okay.
okay.
And so then we're going to go to town administrators report.
Thank you. And I should have shared this at our last meeting, but the summer concert series is underway, put on by Milton Parks and Rec at the Gazebo. That's Wednesday evenings. So check out that schedule. It's online if you're interested.
Thank you,
in
Bonnie
joining.
DeVore.
Yes. A lot of work goes into it, so we appreciate everybody's help. Obviously, town meeting is June 16th. We'll continue to post information up on the town website about that. We'll get the green sheets up there. We'll have those prepared and printed for town meeting as well on Monday. Camila already spoke about the Connect Milton event. That's tomorrow night at 7 p.m. at the Keys Room in the library. They'll also record that if you're unable to make it. And lastly, I know we've talked about this a couple times, but without an announcement, but Alex Ortiz will be joining the Milton Randolph Veterans District as the new Veteran Service Officer starting the first Monday in July, which is July 7th. Alex has worked at the VA. He's currently, he's a graduate of Rhode Island College, an Army vet, Army mechanic, and completing a law degree presently in Puerto Rico, but has lived here previously and is excited to move back up to the area. So we're excited to welcome Alex, and we'll have him in for an introduction and welcome him to the community and fill that vacant position. And that's all I had, Mr. Chair, for now.
Great. Moving on to the chair's report, just a couple of quick items. We had a great turnout in the rain for the Pride celebration that happened on Saturday. Thanks to everybody who put so much work and effort into that. There was also a great ribbon cutting at Tucker Elementary School celebrating the new mural, which is gorgeous. And the artist was extraordinarily thoughtful. And if you haven't seen it, it's definitely worth a look. It's the wall that faces the playground at the back of Tucker if you're looking at Tucker from Blue Hill Parkway. Thanks to everybody who came out for that in the rain. The kids were dancing in the rain. It was quite a scene. We also had a Caribbean Heritage Festival on Sunday. Thank you. I know the Glover PTO is very involved in that, and so thank you to everyone who came out for that. And if I'm not wrong, today is also an anniversary. Is it your anniversary today?
Oh, tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow. Okay, I saw it on Instagram. I was going to give you credit
doesn't
for.
need to celebrate.
I was going to give you credit. Your face, and you're looking over here going.
He's like, oh, did I get it
I
wrong?
win money?
I know a lot about Winston's personal
Right, it's a good thing I know.
I just saw it on Instagram on my way in.
He's
I was
trying to
gonna.
help you out. And
I was
make
trying to
sure
give you
you're
some
right.
Make sure my wife is not still.
Well, happy anniversary a day in
Thank you.
advance to Mr. Daly. And that is it for Chair's report. Anybody have any other items they want to talk about? We will do public comment response. Okay, let's move to public comment response. I know, Mr. Cohen, you had a statement that you wanted to read?
I do. Milton needs to follow the law, we all agree. But to some, the law is clear, and others it is not, and that is where we are. If this board agrees, I was writing this ahead of time, to filing this declaratory judgment belief, we will finally have that answer, something we should have done long ago. I agree. We have before us that very brief that was prepared pro bono by a very talented citizen attorney with a history of experience who has been advocating for this since the beginning of this debate. This could be filed immediately. So we're left with a decision to move forward with this filing or not. But what is there to lose? The cost is minimal. The decision could be quick. We could answer all the lingering questions, which we need a final answer. And we've been advocating for bringing the town together, and this could do just that. I mentioned this in there, but as something that struck me, is that once a 25 or 10% is adopted, from then onward, the HLC, not Milton, has the irrevocable right to always decide what Milton housing proposals comply with Milton's adopted multifamily zoning bylaw. The filing of the action plan, which none of the select board saw until after it was submitted to HLC, adds to the urgency to this matter. I urge this board to take this action and file the declaratory judgment expeditiously, which I lost, but anyway.
Not without a long discussion.
Yep.
Any other public comment response? I'll just add very quickly that with everything that's going on in the world today and in this country, we have seen how easy it is for neighbors to turn against neighbors, to become divided. I would really just want to encourage everybody, no matter how you feel about MBTA communities, to approach the next couple of weeks with an open mind, with an open heart, and most importantly, with the knowledge that the people that you're discussing and debating with are your neighbors, maybe not your friends, maybe someday they will be friends, but they are people that we're going to have to live with, and we are all extraordinarily blessed to be able to live and work and breathe in this town. And I just hope that we can really come together and continue to work. And I promise to do that on the select board to make sure that we can repair some of these divisions in preparation for what may be even harder times to come.
Thank you both.
Well said. Thank you both.
And I will add that this guy and I, we do like each other. We don't agree about this.
Yeah.
We don't agree about it.
You don't
But we
agree
respect-
that you like each other?
We do agree that we like each other,
Respectfully,
and we can have our discussions and our disagreements, and they can get loud. But ultimately, we know that we have to work together for the town, and so I hope that we can take that message and go forward with it.
Thanks
So-
for setting that example for this board and for the entire town.
You're very welcome.
Really
It's
appreciate it,
It's a
guys.
pleasure and it's an honor.
We're going into an executive session again?
Sorry.
We're back at it. Megan can come to this one.
So
one
quickly,
we can go to.
special town meeting, Mr. Milano already mentioned, Monday, June 16th, we'll be meeting then Tuesday, June 17th, and hopefully not Wednesday, June 18th. I've asked Mr. Milano if we can move our June 24th meeting to either June 30th or July 1st, because I'm going to be in Colorado and working that evening. So I don't know if either of those dates would work for anybody. Either the Monday or the Tuesday of the following week.
So that-
Either works for me.
So maybe I have one thing to say after this, and then, go back to those dates again, Mr. Chair.
The 30th or July 1st?
So we'd do the 30th in lieu of,
In lieu of the 24th.
I think I could live with that. Can we keep the meeting short? Because
Okay.
I'll
that
be
works
coming
better
off
for-
Milton Music Fest weekend, which ends the night before, which
I think
is-
we can keep it short
I
because
think so. If we could do that, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And then, just for record keeping, I will be out of the state, as I am each year, for a work project in Idaho from the 6th until the 14th of July.
Okay. And then just a reminder to all of us to check Nick's fantastic Google poll and respond accordingly for other things.
Do we map out like summer vacation times too? just
That's
so
why we
have
usually
that?
kind of like, I thought we took August off last year, but I thought we both,
We
August and
definitely met
July,
at
we
least
just did one
once.
meeting. And then we had that one morning meeting just to do some,
Yeah.
business that had to be, votes that had to be taken, like,
Why don't I can add to that poll the meetings that we would normally have met in July and August, and then if folks don't have conflicts, if you could identify that. If you do have conflicts, just identify that, and then we can grab the information that way. So
Okay, that's a great idea.
You know what, maybe I'll do is I'll add all the Tuesdays in July and August, and you tell me when you are available and aren't, and we'll try to find dates that work for everybody.
I am going to try and take vacation in August. I'm doing it like that.
I mean,
I've
I'm out
already
of
been
town
told.
Middle
as
2
well.
weeks, Harwich,
August?
if you need to find me, middle 2 weeks of August.
Turn your phone off.
Yeah. You need to find me.
You don't
that's
wanna be
where I
found on
am.
town
I'm kind of
business
with
in
you on
Harwich.
this one, like, I'm
Red River
doing that this year in
Beach.
August.
You show up, we'll have a cold beverage for you, but otherwise, yeah.
Future agenda items.
So before we
Yes,
get to,
sorry,
just,
Mr. Wallace.
I just want to make a point. Father Pilati, the pastor of St. Agatha's, they had a celebration for him on Sunday. And he is a priest who grew up in this town. He grew up, his mother actually ran the house at St. Mary's of the Hills. He grew up on Capon Street, or Kaler Ave. Caper, I think both of them, Kaler Ave and Capon. He was an only child, very smart kid, went to Harvard, into the seminary, spent most of his pastoral life as an educator. Was really a brilliant man in Latin and so many things, but a wonderful gift to the town. He's been at St. Agatha's now for about 5 years, maybe not even that long, but because of her medical issues, he's had to leave abruptly, and they had a farewell to him. And I just want to say thank you to him. His mother was so good to the cops from the time I was a kid. She made the best Irish bread, and she wasn't even Irish, and she would send it to the police station. I don't even know how many times I can remember. But thank you, Father, for your time. And again, they made a beautiful tribute video. One of his dear friends and classmates from the seminary, Father John Conley from St. Teresa's, their family, John Conley went to Dartmouth, and Father Pilati went to Harvard.
Wow.
So, as I said to him, as a message from Father Conley, sorry, Father Pilati, Father Conley says go Dartmouth. So, thank you for everything you did for this town, especially the very large parish of St. Agnes. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Wells. Future agenda items. Anyone have anything that they're itching to talk about?
I think you already touched on most of it tonight already.
Okay.
Set the table.
You know, I got to ask the question. I'm going to move that we adjourn from open session and enter into executive session to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining, Milton Clerical Unit of the Southeastern Public Employees Association, Milton Professional Management Association, Milton Public Employee Association, Milton Firefighters Local 1116, Milton Police Association, Milton Superior Officers, Milton Library Association, based on my belief that discussion of this matter in open session may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the Select Board. The Select Board will not return to open session. Can I have a second?
Second. Sorry,
Seconded by
I'm
Mr.
daydreaming.
Wells. That's all right. It's a roll call vote. Mr. Daly?
Yes.
Ms. Hegarty?
Yes.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
And myself, yes. I also am going to move that we adjourn from open session and enter into executive session to discuss strategy with respect to threatened litigation. Do we still have to do that one?
Nope.
No.
Sorry.
But do we have it's your
we get it wrong?
thing though, right?
Yeah. So just
So
to
I'm gonna
conduct
make it
contract
up. I'm gonna
negotiations.
move that we adjourn from open session and enter into executive session to discuss strategy with respect to the contract negotiations with non-union personnel, town administrator. Based on my belief that discussion of this matter in open session may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the Select Board, the Select Board will not return to open session.
Second.
Is that close enough, Mr. Milano?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, we have a second. This is also a roll call vote. Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Ms. Hegarty?
Yes.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
And myself, yes. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.